Hi, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of JoyBaking.com. Today we're going to make chocolate chunk cookies, and this is what they look like. Now, this is essentially a chocolate chip cookie, only I'm going to use chunks of chocolate instead of the normal chocolate chips. But of course, if that's all you have in the house, you could use that, that's fine. So this cookie has really nice crisp edges, and yet the centers of the cookies are nice and soft and chewy. So to begin, preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 180 degrees Celsius. And you will need 2 baking sheets. Now you can just butter your baking sheets, or you can do what I've done here, and I've just lined them with a sheet of parchment paper. And then for the batter, if you have an electric stand mixer like I have here, use your paddle attachment, or you could use a hand mixer, or really, you can just use a large bowl with a wooden spoon. First thing you need is 3/4 of a cup, which is 170 grams of butter. And you can use salted or unsalted, whatever your preference, and have it at room temperature. Don't have it too soft. Mine's quite firm because I want to bake the cookies off right away. I don't want to chill the batter. So if that's, if that's the way you want to do it, have your butter a little firmer. And then we can always soften it as we beat it. So the first thing I'm going to do is just beat it just until it's nice and creamy smooth. Okay, that looks good. And as always, scrape the bottom and the sides of your bowl as much as you need to make sure all the ingredients are mixed together. And chocolate chip cookies, chocolate chunk cookies need both white sugar and brown sugar. So you will need 2/3 of a cup, that's 130 grams of granulated white sugar, and 2/3 of a cup of which is about 140 grams of firmly packed light brown sugar. And with brown sugar, sometimes it gets lumps. So I tend to just run my fingers through it just to make sure there's any lumps, just break them up. And then I'm going to add 1.5 teaspoons of pure vanilla extract. And I'm just going to beat this, a couple minutes, medium-high speed, till it's nice and light and fluffy. Okay, so there we have it. Just got a little air in that. You don't want too much, but a little. So now you need to add 1 large egg and 1 large egg yolk. If you go by weight, without the shells, a large egg weighs about 50 grams and a large egg yolk weighs about 16, 17 grams. And have your eggs at room temperature. Adding that extra yolk just adds to the richness of our chocolate chip cookie. So I'm just going to beat that in. Okay. And now for our dry ingredients. Scrape this down. In a large bowl, I have 2 cups. That's 260 grams of all-purpose flour. You may know that as plain flour. And to that, I'm adding about 1/4 teaspoon of salt. If you use salted butter, I'd probably just leave out the salt. And you will need 1 teaspoon, that's 6 grams of baking soda. The baking soda, we use baking soda for a few reasons. One is, of course, leavening, and it counteracts the acidity of the brown sugar. But also, when you use baking soda in this cookie, it also makes the edges of the cookies nice and crisp, which is what I love. So just whisk that or stir it. You want to make sure that baking soda is really mixed into the flour, or else if you get clumps of baking soda, you will notice a bitterness, which we don't want here. So now I'm going to add our flour mixture to our batter. And then about halfway through mixing, I'm going to add the chocolate chunks, as you can see here. You can buy them like this, or you could take your favorite chocolate bar and cut it up, or really you can just use chocolate chips if you want. Now you can use semi-sweet. I'm using a bittersweet. You could use white chocolate. You could use milk chocolate, or you can even use a combination of them. So it's really up to you. Now, how much chocolate chips? You can use between 1 and say 2 cups, which would be about 160 grams to 320 grams. You know, depending. Some people like a lot of chocolate chips, some people don't. I'm going to use about right in the middle, 1.5 cups, which is about 220 grams. So first I'm going to beat the flour almost in, then add my chocolate chips. Now, when you're starting to beat this, do it slowly. You don't want that flour coming up in your face. Quick stir. And also, if you wanted to, you could add some chopped nuts. Some people like nuts in their chocolate chocolate chunk cookies. I'm not one of them. I just like lots of dark chocolate, so I tend to add more chocolate chips. Okay, simple enough. Now, typically when I make chocolate chip or chocolate chip cookies in my house, I have to bake them off right away because the kids are waiting for them. You can make the batter and cover and refrigerate it probably up to a couple days if you want. Or, you know, if your butter was quite soft when you made the cookies, you may find your batter is too soft to form into rounds. You can see here that my batter is pretty firm because my butter wasn't too soft. So if you find it's a little too soft, just put it in the fridge half an hour, and then you're ready to go. So, you know, in bakeries now you have large cookies, so that's what I'm going to make here is some large cookies. You can make them smaller, just your baking time would be less than for a large cookie. I'm going to use about 1/4 cup of batter. That's 60 milliliters. If you wanted to go by weight, that's about 55 grams per round. My favorite way is an ice cream scoop, which is 1/4 cup, 60 milliliters, this size, because that way you get every cookie the same size. And so then you know they all bake in the same time. So whatever you want to use. And just scoop it out. Now, because these are large and they will spread, I only put about 6 cookies per baking sheet. Okay, and then because they're kind of dome shaped here, I just flatten them into a round, and these will spread. If they spread way too much, then probably it's because your batter is too soft. So next sheet, like what I normally do is I'll bake these off, I'll make another sheet, and then because they're sitting on the counter and especially if your kitchen's a little warm, I'll just put that second sheet, baking sheet in the fridge while the first sheet's baking, just to chill them up so they don't spread too much. So now, how long to bake your chocolate chip cookies? I bake these about 14 to 16 minutes till the edges are golden brown, but the centers are still soft because they will firm up as they cool down. The longer you bake chocolate chip cookies, the more crisp they will be. You may have to experiment a bit in your oven to find out how, the way you like it, but about 14 to 16 minutes. I like to turn my baking sheet front to back about halfway through baking time. Okay, our chocolate chunk cookies are done. Now this is the way I like to do them. The edges are golden brown, but yet the centers are still soft. So that will give you crisp edges and a soft and chewy center. So if that's what you like in your chocolate chip cookie, this is what you're looking for. So now what I like to do is just cool the cookies because they're still quite soft. So cool them in the pan on a wire rack for a few minutes, and when we come back, we will try one. So now our cookies are firmed up a little, so we'll transfer them over to the wire rack to finish cooling. Although, I don't know about you, but I like my chocolate chip cookies warm from the oven. So they're still a little warm. Let's try one. There's nothing like a chocolate chip cookie. They're buttery, sweet, and then the edges are really nice and crisp, soft in the center. I like using the bittersweet chocolate chip because I find that the strong flavor of the chocolate offsets the sweetness of the cookie. I mean, nothing beats chocolate chip cookies. So, enjoy. And until next time, I'm Stephanie Jaworski from joybaking.com.